And up next, we have got Health Tuesday.
Of course, reproductive health is our conversation this Tuesday. We narrow it down to family planning and contraceptives. But before we begin that conversation, let me just run you through quickly some facts and myths surrounding the issue of family planning and contraceptive. And just to start with the facts, is that actually, as it stands, about 15 to 44 women use contraception. There's also the fact that young women are less likely to use contraception than older women. Some of the things that also the doctor will be talking to us about in just a short while. One last fact is that the pill is actually popular, but it's not for everyone. So what does that mean, given the fact that also a good number of women, we tend to really lean towards using the pill as opposed to any other form of contraceptive? Again, some of the myths surrounding contraceptives and family planning include that natural methods do not work. So actually that just means that this is not true, and it's just a myth altogether. And then there's also one that birth control can prevent STIs. Again, what also does that mean? Again, one last one is that hormonal types cause abortions. Of course, this just simply means that we have the hormonal and an hormonal form of contraceptions. But again, like you mentioned, we have a doctor on set this morning. That is Dr. Nyabiswa, Wakenya, who will be helping us understand more about family planning and contraceptive in just a short while. All right, so from those facts and myths, Dr. Nyabiswa is here ready to help us understand more. Sindio, I had told our viewers that you actually were stuck in traffic a bit, but at least you are now here. Yes. Let's start from the beginning to at least form a basis. Reproductive health as a whole, when you talk about reproductive health, in essence, what exactly are we meaning?
Okay. As you've said, my name is Dr. Nyabiswa, Kenya. I'm the Secretary General, Kenya Young Doctors Caucus. I'm a doctor working in Nairobi with the Radiant Hospital, Radiant Group of Hospital. I've majored mostly in reproductive health. So reproductive health is a part of health that starts from birth. So when babies are born, mothers are very concerned about their reproductive system. So it is part of health that starts from very beginning. It is what brings life. So it is a very major concern in the health system of any human.
Okay.
Yes.
So it means it's holistic.
It's holistic.
All right. Now, right into our conversation this morning, myths surrounding family planning and contraceptive. Just for our starters, how many contraceptive methods do we have out here?
We have various contraceptive methods. One of it commonly used is hormonal in women. We have also barriers. So when we say hormonal, we just mean use of progesterone only, or progesterone, estrogen. These are just hormones, which come in various forms. It can either be implants, where they are put in the arms. It can also come in form of even progesterone coils. It can come in form of injections, pills. Commonly used is pills. Nowadays we've seen implants also being used. We also have barriers that are hormonal. When we come to barriers as a form of contraception, we're talking about use of condoms, which we have male and female. We also have vasectomy, which is a barrier.
All right.
So
And we'll come to that in a bit. You mentioned hormonal, so obviously it means we also have non-hormonal.
Yes.
What are they, and what examples form the non-hormonal form of contraceptives?
Non-hormonal form of contraception is use of we have these IUCDs that are non-hormonal. Yeah, so those are forms of contraception that are used mostly in women. Yeah, but when we talk about hormonal contraception, it's not only limited to women. Nowadays, we are also having places where they are developing use of hormonal contraception in the male.
Okay.
Yes. So non-hormonal, most of the time we are talking about use of coils. Non-hormonal can also include the barrier method. The one we are talking about, the condoms, which is both male and female.
So actually condoms fall into the barrier methods.
Okay.
All right. Now, even let's talk about the hormonal and the non-hormonal, because I really want our viewers to understand what exactly we're talking about, because like we mentioned earlier, is that the issue of family planning and contraceptive is an emotive kind of topic. So at what point does one need to know, maybe I should go for hormonal or non-hormonal? What exactly happens?
Okay. We've had issue surrounding contraception, whereby many women currently wish to be using any form of contraception, but because, as you mentioned, that there is myths surrounding contraception, and also there is beliefs which are mostly religious, political, or even social, that surrounds contraception. It's made women who are using contraceptive methods which may not be effective and safe. So they end up choosing contraception that are not useful to, or that are not compatible with their bodies or with their hormones or anything. So they end up having side effects. We even have some who use herbal, herbal contraception, which has a lot of hormones taken once in a month. So they end up having side effects. So when they reach to us, they have already been using a certain contraceptive method, and they're having problems. So they were using hormonal at that time, and now we switch to non-hormonal. So it comes in that at the point where we switch to non-hormonal is when we are having complications of hormonal.
Form of contraceptives.
Yes.
So again, just borrowing from what you're saying, then it means that there needs to be a process and a procedure before actually one starts using or acquires any form of contraceptive.
Very right.
What is the process?
The process is that first of all, it should start with educating the community from a very early age. Educating young boys and girls about contraception, need for family planning, and planned pregnancies, whereby by the time they are about to start using this contraception, they already know, they have already made a doctor. There is no any studies or any correlation that somebody has to go under certain tests for them to use any contraception.
There's
no need. I can say there's no need for you to undergo certain tests for you to use a certain contraception. We just come, we give you various options of contraception, and then after there we will observe you and we will give you a safe contraceptive method instead of walking into a shop. Nowadays they are lying to people out there that herbal, through various ways. We've had countries exporting their contraceptive, they call it herbal, into Kenya. Now Kenyans buy it thinking that it's herbal, but it's just chemical contraception with a lot of hormones. So it's important that we teach at a very early age. Our boys, our girls at a very early age about use of contraception.
All right. Well, you've just said that there's actually no need for a test, which I think that does away with most kind of thinkings, because you always think that for me to get a proper kind of contraceptive, then perhaps the doctor or the gyna needs to examine me to understand also how my body system works for them to prescribe a proper contraceptive for someone. There's no that I can say. There's no need. We just have to have a small conversation as a doctor. I will give you various methods, but this is important. Maybe due to certain things, maybe you want to give birth in coming, let's say 2 years, 3 years, I will give you a certain method that will prevent that. If maybe you just want to prevent pregnancy for 6 months, I will give you a proper contraception because of that circumstance. But body-wise, there's no need. There's no problem. All right. Also, earlier on you had mentioned about the pills, and again, also just from the facts and myths that I was reading out there, for our viewers, that it shows that the pill is actually the most common form of contraceptives. And I'd like, and also I know our viewers would like to understand, we have all these methods that you also explained to us when you were beginning, but why does the pill form the bigger chunk of the most common form use of contraceptive? What is it about the pill?
Pills, we have several. We have two mostly used hormones in pills, whereby we have progesterone only, and we have the combined ones, where they have progesterone and estrogen. So they mostly used in women currently, whereby somebody takes a pill once in a month, daily. So also depending with either they are breastfeeding or they are not breastfeeding, that's why they will take either progesterone only or progesterone combined with estrogen. So mostly progesterone only used in women who are breastfeeding. So there are form of contraception that have been in use and they are commonly used, and they are also safe. The preventive rates is very, very high. There are myths surrounding it. We have people complaining that they maybe cause excessive bleeding. We have others say that they are leading to swelling of their lower limbs. But the rates of the side effects is lower than unplanned pregnancies. So pills are one of the most used contraception, well prescribed by a doctor or a gynecologist.
So it's because of the rate of the side effects which are lower, that is why they are most commonly used.
Yes.
All right.
They also do not involve a lot of process for you to acquire it. Unlike implant, whereby you will have to go to the doctor and then they will have to take you under, say, some small surgical procedure of inserting it. Pills you just buy and then you start using it. So they're easily used because of their accessibility.
Okay, but also understand sometimes one might forget to take the pill. So again, how does it make it easy to use? Because if they're taken daily, what happens if you just happen to forget, as opposed to the implant where after it's inserted, that's it?
I can say that's part of its setback. When you're having, you have to remind yourself that you need to take a pill daily. And if you forget, maybe for 2 or more days, it may lead to you getting pregnant, but forgetting one day it may not.
Now that's interesting. All right,
one day will not interfere with the hormones.
It will interfere. What about the emergency pill? Because again, also there's been an abuse of this kind of pill, especially amongst the younger women and adolescents. And we'll come to adolescent and younger women perhaps a bit later. But the abuse of e-pill, in terms of side effects or the effects therein, and even long term, help us understand, because sometimes people really don't understand how the kind of effect it might have long term?
I can say when we talk about emergency pills, I will categorize it to high dose hormonal contraception. Among it, I will also put herbal. So if you take e-pills, you are taking a high dose of hormones in your body, and you are taking it once. So if you repeat it, let's say monthly, every month you are taking an e-pill, you are putting high hormones of estrogen, of progesterone into your body, and we have side effects of these high dose hormones. What we call DVTs. DVT is just swelling of the lower limbs, which may also affect the heart, also affect the brain or even the chest, the lungs. So it can also interfere with the flow of the menses. So it's advisable that they are not taken frequently.
The way most would take it frequently.
Yes.
All right. Okay, now let's come to vasectomy, because I mean, you can't talk about contraceptives and family planning and just stick to women. It takes two to tango. All right, let's talk about vasectomy, and this is for males, of course. There was this conversation running, especially in 2019, where this needs to be perhaps something that males also need to consider. But it didn't quite receive the positive kind of reception, especially from males. Let me pick your mind on just male contraceptive and vasectomy, to be precise.
What I can tell you is that male contraception is one of the most effective way of let's say contraception,
or family planning as a whole.
Family planning as a whole, So currently we have vasectomy, which is commonly used, I can say, worldwide. But it hasn't infiltrated our country or our region because of a lot of beliefs, religious, political, and also social. But it's safe, it is reversible, and I can say it doesn't involve change of hormones in the body. So I can say it's a conversation that should be revisited, should be talked about. We also have developments that are ongoing about male hormonal contraception. So we've seen people going for vasectomy recently, and it's a safe way of birth control, planned pregnancies. I can say it's a conversation that we should start talking
we should engage in further. But let's talk a bit about that reversibility part, because I think for most people, the fear actually comes in that bit of perhaps someone actually undergoes that. They get a vasectomy, then again 3 years down they feel like, okay, fine, I think I really want to have a child. Then perhaps there's that thinking of, will I ever get a child, because I had like sort of a permanent form of procedure done on me or on the someone, or on the person rather.
I can say is if there is anything that happens post vasectomy, and it's maybe leading to infertility, I can say it is just one of the small side effects of any other contraception. Just like we have women using hormonal either implants, and then after they are very, very small percentage, very, very small percentage of them do not maybe get their periods, or some of them even do not conceive again. Just like vasectomy and its reversibility, it's just a very small percentage that shouldn't be feared by many, provided we demystify any myths that surrounds it. I think it should be impressed, and though it involves, it's a surgical procedure, so it may be financially involved, both the initial process and reversing of it.
Okay. So now, when you talk about those fears, because just borrowing from what happened in 2019 when this conversation sort of began, and the way I was telling you is that actually it got sort of like a backlash even from the males. And one of the things that was really ongoing was that males said that the side effects is one of those things that they can't stand. But then their female counterparts would say, this is also what we get when we take the kind of contraceptives that we take even as females.
I can say these are just fears. These are myths, which it shouldn't take too long before people are educated about use of this kind of contraceptions. So it's a process for you to convince Kenyans that, or you to convince a person that you should undergo this kind of process for you to control your family. Maybe you're having already enough family of children, and you want to not burden your wife with hormones, hormonal use. Maybe she's having already side effects, and you want to say that you want to control the family. You should undergo such a kind of contraceptive methods.
All right. So you're rooting for vasectomy as a form of family planning?
It is a form of family planning. It is a form of family planning that has been in use, and just like any other family planning method, it should be embraced.
Okay, now let's talk about adolescents and the younger women, because again, let's face it, in as much as we may not really want to perhaps have this conversation about adolescents and teens taking contraceptives, but it's already out there. I mean, a good number of them would even are having actually sex. And there's that belief of, it's culture, religious. Why are we talking about contraceptives for teens and adolescents?
Yes. When you talk about contraception in teens, especially just post-puberty, it's a very sensitive matter, especially when our laws strictly does not allow maybe sex before 18 years old, but we're having kids in primary school, in high school, engaging in sexual activities, and at the same time they get pregnant. This is what we are calling now unplanned pregnancies. So it's something that it's long overdue that we should be talking about, educating them, introducing even this form of contraceptions. It's just my opinion,
No one should castigate you.
It's my opinion that we should introduce
to the team.
We should introduce. Let us encourage that in primary school they are told, they explain to them that there is a safe method of preventing unwanted pregnancies. So it's a conversation that should be ongoing. So yes, we should.
All right. You are saying, and like you mentioned, this is actually your opinion, that introduction of this form of contraceptives even to schools, to these teens or adolescents, needs perhaps to be allowed or permitted. But again, there's another school of thought that if actually this happens, it's like we're making these young people promiscuous, sort of like we are empowering them to actually go and engage in sex.
So it's a double-edged sword. When you engage certain opinions, that if we don't introduce it, then they are at the same time going to have they will engage in the sexual activities, and they're engaging. They are doing that. So it's a conversation that we should initiate. We should start talking to them and reducing this form of contraception. So when we weigh the importance and the side, the other part that they are not using contraception, we have kids dropping out of school or even delaying their school process because of pregnancies, and the most affected ones are female. We're having ladies, girls. Girls are the most affected people. Male, they may not drop out of school because they're having
continue with learning.
Yeah, they will just continue. So it's something that we need to look into it, study around it, weigh the importance, and see if it is applicable. Because there was introduction of condoms in campus when I was in the University of Nairobi. Yeah, we walk out of your hostel, you find there's a box of condoms out there. It didn't improve or influence any people's misfit. It was already there.
So it's just like coming to curb, what you talk about, especially, those early pregnancies or unwanted pregnancies. All right.
Because these things are happening in certain form of settlements. If you went to certain schools, very improved, you will find that education on reproductive health is very advanced. But you go to other schools in informal settlements, in villages, there's a lot of myths around reproductive health. You find that if a teacher talks about reproductive health, as you say, people will think that they are promoting promiscuity.
Even the mention of that word, people feel like, okay, can you use another word? And I think that's where the problem begins from. Because if we really need to have these conversations and perhaps even make breakthrough on it, we actually need to have it the way it is.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah, we need to talk openly.
We need to talk about it openly. I don't fear to even mention words because, I mean, it is what it is. Okay. Even when you talk about adolescents and teens, because I really want us to stay there just a bit, also because of even in the papers today we had about almost 300,000 plus girls getting pregnant just in this period of COVID-19 since the inception in March up until now. And that just goes to tell you of how it's actually important for us to have this conversation around family planning and contraceptive. So again, when it comes back to the teens or even the adolescents per se, is it like a requirement or a rule that if a teen would want to perhaps get any form of contraceptive, they need to walk into the facility with a guardian or a parent?
As things stand with the Kenyan laws, any teen who is below 18 years old, most of the time they are seen in company of their parents. So I can say it's something that has to involve. If somebody is below 18 years old and they are post-puberty, it's a conversation that the parent should have and the kid. But anyone who is above 18 years old and they're still teenagers, those ones can just walk to any hospital and they'll be given a contraception method. All right.
Okay. I would have really loved us to have this conversation even more in detail because there's a lot about this topic, but I'm just informed that we are out of time. We have to pave way for the next live link. But thank you so much for your time, at least for helping us understand, a thing or two about family planning and contraceptives as a whole. Asante sana.
Karibu.
That has been Dr. Nyabiswa Wakenya, who's the Secretary General, Kenya Young Doctors Caucus, just talking to us about family planning and contraceptives as a whole. And that's why we bring this conversation, as well as Good Morning Kenya this Tuesday to a close. Till tomorrow, I'm Doreen Arange from me and on behalf of the entire team. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely morning.
Welcome.
That was so short.